Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of the Let's Get Real podcast. On today's episode, we will be discussing the horror genre, specifically focusing on the original 1990 It movie as we dive into the history of horror, give our thoughts on the film along with an overall rating, and discuss some of our favorite all-time horror films. So, let's get this one going. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Let's Get Real podcast. My name is Joni Young, and sitting next to my good friend Josh Josue Silva. What's up, Josh?
What's up, man? What's up?
Not much, man. Also joining us today is our good friend Bailey, Mediterranean Sea. What's up, Bailey?
What's up? Yes, sir. Just surfing the seas today.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have our good friend Bearded Bryce Beavers. What's up, Bryce?
What's up, dude?
Not much, man. Today is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. And today we'll be discussing the horror genre, specifically focusing on the 1990 horror classic It, as we dive into the history, give our thoughts on the film, along with giving an overall rating, and sharing some of our favorite horror films of all time. To start off, we have the history. Josh, you want to take us down that one, man?
Yeah, man. So it actually falls into the subgenres of psychological horror and supernatural horror. I'm going to cover supernatural really quick, and then Bailey will cover psychological. But supernatural is just has roots within humanity. Think of monsters, demons, all those kinds of things.
Ghouls.
Ghouls. Myth and mythologies, legends and superstitions. We can kind of see that with it, like how he is a myth of Derry, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just think of Satan and how he intimidates and how he kind of within the Christianity belief.
Just controls your mind.
Yeah, like controls your mind, kind of freaks you out with things that manipulative. Yeah. Movies that are of the earliest type of this is Dracula. That's from 1931. These films were not seen as popular at the beginning because of the fear of the majority of the Christian audience. They thought they were going to be offensive or just weren't going to do well, but they actually did because, again, it's just something that's tied within us. Like we all are afraid of these things, and we kind of still have that sense even as adults. Whenever you hear a bump in the night, you think it's a monster or something. Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. So the supernatural movies that we have were The Omen, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, The Shining, and the more recent one is The Babadook.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Yeah, really crazy. I think it's an Australian film too. So
it is.
I never saw that one.
It's intense, man. You should really check it out.
You might have seen like some memes of it. It's like a screaming kid in the back of a car. I don't know.
Yeah, and he has like a...
Oh, maybe I have, yeah.
It's like a big O thing.
It's from that. Yeah.
Super weird, but yeah, crazy.
So yeah, jumping right into the psychological horror. This is a subgenre that focuses on mental, emotional, and psychological states of like human being, often deconstructing situations to frighten, disturb, unsettle their audience. And most of these are just like meant to dread or worry you. Mm-hmm. And the first psychological film was The Black Cat, 1934, and this one set the stage for like psychological horror. It helped create like eerie feelings, like turn around, oh, something's behind me. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a silent film if I'm not mistaken, but it still fell under that psychological horror.
Kind of just playing with like your mind kind of thing. Like,
yeah. Was the original Quiet Place?
I'm not sure about that, but
so that was a good film too, man.
Yeah,
it was short, but it was good.
It was
man.
really good.
It said a lot in little time, so I liked that. I really liked that about that one.
I'm excited for the.
So yeah, to wrap it up, it just mainly focuses on your emotional state, and it used to release the way that how you get scared, pretty much. And movies that fall under this in the 90s were Perfect Blue, Silence of the Lambs, Misery, and most recent ones are Get Out, Split, and The Pet Sematary, which that one is recent with the remake, but it's also back in the day. So.
Yeah.
So to jump right into the film that we are talking about today, we have the 1990 original It classic. So what were your thoughts? We'll start with Bailey. What were your thoughts on this film, man?
Honestly, overall, I was like, wow, this film's long, but I'm glad that the remake they kind of split it, but in a sense, I kind of like how they did the original, how it was like first the younger version and then the older version all came in together doing it. And overall, right now, I'm not scared of it. It's kind of like a laugh, but I could see how it could be scary back in the day. And Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it.
What about you, Bryce? Let's revert it over to you.
Yeah. Well, I also thought it was super long, but I liked it a lot. I liked how it was similar to the new one they made. But yeah, I like how horror's kind of changed and evolved. Because back in the day, just seeing blood would freak people out. So they used tons of blood in that movie, and scary teeth on a clown. So that probably freaked a lot of people out. But now it's just like, oh yeah, cool, a clown, big teeth. But yeah,
I think that has to do with like the way that we are desensitized nowadays to horror films, because we see them all. We see more graphic content every day, whether it's in cinema or if it's on video games or in music, even on the news. I feel like the news has gotten a little more graphic in their details and the way they tell the news stories every day. And so we as a society kind of become desensitized to that. So us, I guess Gen Z guys, I think that's our generation.
Yeah.
We are desensitized to films like that. We look at those films and we kind of cringe a little bit too. I noticed this film had a lot of cringy moments. The video quality as well wasn't on point. Like definitely, if you compare that to 2021 standards, it's definitely
even
bad.
like special effects, like we were talking about the blood and like how the characters actually, like, it's supposed to be like a mental state and like they're only supposed to be able to see it, but like how when they touch the blood, like the other character who isn't supposed to see it is interacting with the blood. Yeah. So you're kind of thrown off. You're like, so are they able to see this, or are they like not?
Insane.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing too.
Yeah, I like the fact that it was a psychological horror film. I feel like today's horror films, they're starting to go more in that direction instead of just doing jump scare compilations, which I absolutely despise. Jump scare movies with excessive jump scares, like The Messengers or the Scream series that had a bunch of them, or The Haunting in Connecticut. I believe the second film, The Haunting in Connecticut 2, had the world record with 32 jump scares, which is one every 4 minutes.
No, that there was this movie called like Ouija or something. It was like about a Ouija board.
Yes, I went and saw that.
I would literally every few seconds there's jump scare, and I was like, this is dumb. This isn't even scary anymore. It'd just be a guy walking and be like, and he'd jump like across the screen, and you're like, what was that? That wasn't even scary, but why are they doing that?
I want films with structure. I want plot. I want story. I don't mind the jump scares if they're well placed and there's not an overabundance of them. I really enjoy films that are like that. And jump scares have kind of ingrained themselves in the horror genre itself. You go to a horror film, you expect that, especially like when it gets kind of silent, you notice, and then you expect like just
you prepare yourself for it.
Yes, exactly.
It's like not even a jump scare anymore.
And so those are some things that I don't mind, but and for that reason, I definitely liked this film because of that. When I watched this film when I was younger, because I believe I watched it for the first time when I was like 8 or 9 years old, if I'm not mistaken, the shower scene like horrified me when I was younger. Like it absolutely horrified me.
Showers coming to get you.
Like every time, like I have to go, like every time I'm in the bathroom now, I make sure the shower curtain is open for whatever reason. That's just what I have to make sure of that. I'm okay with it now. It's gotten better, but that definitely horrified me as a kid.
I think that's with everybody. Like when you go into the restroom, you just want to kick the shower curtain because you think someone's behind there, and it's just scary.
It's funny too because that shower scene, like when I was younger, like the same thing. I was super freaked out by it, but now I watched it, and when he actually like pulls out of the drain and like it kind of looks like claymation.
Oh yeah.
Like I caught that and I was like, bro, this isn't even creepy to me no more. Like what the heck?
Yeah, like rewatching it, it's
cringy.
Definitely
you
cringy.
See all the classic effects that they had to deal with.
And I'm just going like, well, what was the real big deal with that? I don't know why I was scared of that, but I was for a long time. And
same.
And maybe that has to do just with the better horror films I've seen, the more gory ones that I've seen. So,
And yeah, like you're saying too, like there definitely is still those creepy moments, like when at the very beginning when Georgie is going down the drain, like that part still gets me. Like I still was kind of like, I hate this part. But again, like it's just, you just become desensitized to it, and it's not.
And that's what makes you look away, is like the eerie and the psychological horror. You're like, oh, I kind of want to look away right here, but I know what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, I also like that it had a lot of suspense to it, once again, it wasn't a jump scare compilation, but it followed a good story, and I like that. Yep. I really did like that, and it's like you said, it's a psychological horror film. Some of my favorites are Split and It Comes at Night. Those are two of my favorite psychological horror films. What are you guys' favorite like horror films overall? What would you say?
So one is that I kind of remember is It Follows.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if y'all have ever seen that one, but that
Yes.
one
Yeah.
freaked me out. There's also one I like, kind of like more indie films, but there's one called Tusk, and it's not really scary,
Oh my gosh.
but it's
Tusk.
creepy. Yeah, it's like it's
Yes.
just weird. Like,
Yes.
and like I saw a picture of it the other day, and it just reminded me. So if you've never seen it, basically this dude creates a walrus out of human
a
parts or
person.
something,
Yeah.
and it's creepy.
You
so.
will be
Oh,
a
wow.
walrus or nothing at all.
Yeah, and like it's Justin Long, I think, is who is in
Yes,
it, and yeah,
yes.
it's just
Yeah.
weird
My
movie.
favorite series would probably be like The Conjuring, Annabelle,
yeah.
and all those.
Mhm.
Honestly, for horror.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Conjuring,
absolutely.
yeah, those
absolutely.
are good.
One of
Yeah.
the things that I didn't like about this film though was the just the constant flashbacks. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like it kind of took away from what we were, from the continuity
Mhm.
of the film itself. And I really like how the remakes did it, where there's like the first one's just when they were
Separated.
young,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then the second one was when they were adults.
Adults.
Yeah.
And everything like that. I liked the way that they separated those
Yeah.
two instead of just making it in one giant 3-hour film.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they did
Yeah.
2.5 hour films, which granted was pretty long itself, but
Yeah.
those I feel like this is one of those rare occasions where the remakes are actually better than the original
Yeah, I was about
ones,
to say that. Yeah.
because typically that's not the case.
Well,
but
even like that
here it
Georgie
is.
scene, like at the very beginning, that Georgie scene. Now, I remember there was a lot of just like criticism because it actually shows his arm get ripped
Get
off.
ripped off. Yeah.
And in this last one, I didn't
You
remember
see
if it did or
anything.
not.
Yeah.
And like when I saw it, I was like, oh, they didn't do that scene.
Yeah.
And like in the new one, I remember like his arm gets ripped off.
Yeah,
you
Yeah,
see
I-
like
and you see blood and
blood
it's
just
gory, and you're like,
squirting.
I don't think
whoa.
they could get away with that today,
Yeah, yeah.
doing a scene like that back in
Yeah.
1990.
you probably
Yeah.
could. Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things that just kind of comes along in time. You know,
Yeah.
we become desensitized to it. But
Yeah, they were probably pushing the envelope back then.
Yeah, with
just
what they
With
did.
all the blood
Yeah,
and the
true
balloons,
that.
and they're like, oh.
so on a scale of 1 to 10, what would y'all rate this film? Josh, we'll start with you.
So this one I'd kind of give it a 6. It still has those elements that I'm still scared of, but again, like just rewatching it was cringeworthy, and just the timing on it, man. It took forever. Like I started it and I had to like stop because it was just so long. Like
Yeah, I
story.
felt like there were a lot of kind of boring parts to
yeah,
it
you had
Yeah.
to like stop
that
and
you could have
kinda-
easily taken
Yeah.
out and
Mhm.
replaced it with something more suspenseful.
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Bailey?
I would say I would give it like a 7, just because I love Stephen King.
Yes.
But honestly, yeah, that's what I would give it.
7? Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Bryce?
I probably do 7.5 just because of the story alone. The cringe-worthy parts of it were just kind of ruining it, and then the whole like it shouldn't have been that long.
I feel like you low-key like the cringeworthy parts, though.
I did. Some of them were funny. Yeah, I did laugh, but like, and that's what makes you love it. It makes you want to watch it because you're like, oh man, people are scared of a dumb clown with sharp teeth. That's awesome. But I liked it a lot.
I'll have to give this one a 5.7.
Yeah.
It just it really doesn't hold up in my eyes. I
Mhm.
think the remakes are definitely a lot better,
Yeah.
and the film quality itself
Mhm.
was pretty bad. There were a lot of boring parts to it. I wasn't
Yeah.
engaged throughout the whole film as I was with the remakes, the It 1 and 2. So for that reason, yeah, I'm gonna have to give that one a 5.7. So
Yeah. And that's one of the things with like the generations. Like back then, it was way scarier for them
Oh,
Yeah.
than
Oh,
what it is for
absolutely,
us
yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean,
So-
that's like a PG rated film today.
Oh,
yeah,
That's
for
not even
sure.
rated R.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was rated R back in
Yeah.
1990.
People were freaking out, but now it's
It's just whatever.
Yeah.
And Josh was saying one of the films that it influenced was, or the TV series was,
Yes, Stranger
Things.
Yes.
Yeah. So Stranger
Definitely see
Things,
that.
a lot. So like again, like the movie's based around these kids that hang out, right? And so like that whole idea, like, was a really popular idea of the 1980s. So like think of movies like The Goonies, Stand by Me, E.T. So it's just kind of a coming of age story where
Kids
they're
come
dealing
together and
Trying to find
they're
themselves.
dealing with something they're dealing with, and then
Mhm.
they also are dealing with a supernatural force. So that,
Yeah.
I think that was pretty cool. On 80s movies again. So
yeah.
All right, so I believe that will do it for us here today on the Let's Get Real podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/LGRpod or on Twitter at Real Nation Talk, or visit our website at www.letsgetreal.net. For Josh Silver, Bailey C., and Bryce Beers, I'm Jonah Young saying so long and see you next time here on the Let's Get Real podcast.